Pod goes, Droid goes, Mac goes, Linux goes, servos go, lights go, hydraulics go, dot matrix goes, and disc go, and keyboards go. But there's one sound that no one knows. What do the bots say?
This is madness.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
I'm an android.
My name is Optimus Prime.
What do the bots say?
Danger, Bill Robinson, danger.
Wally. What do the bots say?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
We are autonomous robotic organisms from
What
the
do the
planet
bots
Cybertron.
say?
Resistance is futile. I do believe they think I am some sort of god.
What do the bots say?
I'll be back.
Big red eyes, metal toes, keyboard, mouse, security holes. If you get a virus, you'll turn blue. Backup, reformat, reinstall.
Welcome to the Mr. Robots Podcast, a show about technology, trends, futurism, entrepreneurship, and lots more, with your host, Steve Favis.
Hello, how you doing, everybody? This is Steve Favis. I am going to cover some news today. It is 4:30 in the morning, the Pacific time, and I'll cover some of the news that was in the for my Twitter feed. Excuse me. Some news was released recently with Elon Musk. I guess I'll pop up the little news article here. Wrong tab. There we go. And Elon Musk basically has done a genius move regarding the Twitter bid. And he says he will make the offer or close the deal after he figures out how many spam and fake accounts there are. This is genius because everybody knows there's spam, fake accounts, dead followers, or in my case, PLA, CCP, cyber trolls. If you look at any Chinese, or I want to say anti-communist news, basically, that's coming along from people in Hong Kong who are basically now refugees from Hong Kong and have moved to Taiwan. A lot of them moved to Taiwan. They have they've been speaking out a lot about the CCP regime, or the Communist Chinese Party regime. And whenever you comment on these things, there's these people that seem to linger on these threads that kind of want, or I believe they're attempting to try to make Americans shut up and not say anything. They're very condescending. They're very, very condescending. And I think their goal is to basically kung fu into you getting your account banned or you getting shut down or restricted. This kept on happening to me. So I've had issues with LinkedIn, and I've also had issues with specifically Twitter. So again, there's not only bots and spam fake accounts, there's also a significant amount of PLA cyber trolls, basically, which is People Liberation Army. They have a one-way trip from their government using a VPN to get out of the Great Wall of China. Most Chinese citizens don't have access to Twitter because their government has banned it. They use a different application called Weibo, which I check every now and then. I don't speak Chinese, but I can use Google Translate, basically. So I kind of see what kind of stuff is going on and what kind of crap their military command is feeding their citizens, basically. So I'll send a quote up here in a little bit about some of the BS that I ran into that they're trying to feed their population. And I think this is a genius move on Elon Musk. Twitter says, at least Reuters, this is Reuters, can we trust Reuters? Reuters says there's less than 5% of the accounts are on Twitter are fake founding. I would estimate that. I think that's completely underestimating the amount of fake accounts. I'd say it's good. I'd say you get 67% of Twitter's actually fake account. And if anybody wants to bet me on that, that's fine. I think, like I said, I'd say about 60-70% of it is fake, or foreign state actors trying to have a narrative or control a narrative and have some sort of agenda as far as news and stuff like that, and what their public relations firms want them to do, basically. So yeah, even Kim.com here, he says about 30% bots and fake spam. I think it's actually double that. Like I said, I think it's about 60%. So anyways, so let's go on. What else is in the news? This is a big release on NFTs. If you've been tracking the NFT space, I was at maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago super bullish about the NFT space, and I realized that that a lot of them were rug pulls. If you don't know what NFTs are, I covered them a little bit before. Non-fungible tokens. They are potentially a good way of raising funds for a project, for Web3 or Meta or whatnot. Again, I'm still sort of skeptical regarding Web3 and Meta. That's a different topic to cover, but Azuki, who has probably one of the top selling NFTs. If you look here, there's I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little better. This is the OpenSea website. This is the most popular trading platform for NFTs right now, OpenSea.io. If you go to the stats and you go the last 24 hours, you can see Azuki has traded over 5,307 Ethereum in, I would say it's about 4,000 or 3,500 per one, or $3,500 per one Ethereum. So look at this. You're looking at this is only around $20,000 basically that are being traded in these NFTs. So let's just look at what they look like basically. What are people paying for these, and what do they look like? Okay, so it's like manga or anime art. You can see it's the art lines are repurposed. It's the same face here, just slightly moved around. Same eyes, same profile, just variations of hair, which is change different colors. So this is a 2D art. I mean, it looks cool. It's fine. It has its stuff. But look at how much they're selling for. This is on auction for 8 Ethereum, which each Ethereum is around. I think this is Ethereum. Yeah, 8. This is the auction Ethereum. 8 Ethereum. I think it's around 3,500. So 3,500 times 8. That's almost 10. So it's about 8 times about maybe 4,000, maybe about 20, a little under 20,000 for specifically this one right here. So let's look at the price history and what is going on with this. So these are the people who are bidding on them. These are some of the properties of it. This was a transfer 4 months ago, minted. So it's a transfer. And there's 708 favorites. Let's see if we go to the price history on this. Actually, there's no price on the. There's no bidder on this one. Okay, this guy owns it. This guy's name is King Rama Vault. Let's go look at his profile on OpenSea. You can see his wallet address here. You can see the NFT he owns. The NFTs, these are art pieces, basically. As of now, NFTs are mostly two-dimensional art you can use as an avatar for a Facebook profile and stuff like that. It's kind of a collector's item. And they're unique. They're connected to a unique identifier, so that means you can't actually. The authentic ones come with a serial number, or like a serial number, a unique identifier, a token, basically. I want to say something that's serialized in a sense. It's digitally serialized. It's not like you can duplicate them easily, but I mean, I could easily just hit print screen and use it on my wall if I wanted to and duplicate it. But again, it's a collector's item, and it for NFTs. Profiles and stuff like that, you would have to copy them, such as a high ticket one example, and just use them, which is possible, but it kind of defeats the purpose of it. It's still kind of a status or kind of a cool symbol to have or whatever if you like this space. But again, Azuki, what happens is on these rug pulls is you artificially inflate them. I'm going to see if I can find one with a random a Azuki with a random buyer. Let's go sort by high price here, and we'll see how often it. Actually, let's go recently sold. Price high to low. I think this one right here is at 9,999 Ethereum. I think that's just an anchor to change it. So let's see here. Let's look at this. This one here, 1690 price. Last bid. Let's go find one that was purchased. Actually, let's go recently sold. Let's just go to one that's recently sold. Actually. Okay, so this one sold for almost $30,000 for this piece of art. This NFT sold for, yes, that's right, $30,000. That's about 13.5 Ethereum. The US dollars was right next to it right here. So let's go see who bought it and see. Let's track to see who bought it. There's offers. Okay, so these are usually anonymous addresses. So it started with 0.02 WETH, which is basically Ethereum that's bound to an auction. This in 4 days or 4 months was 12 minutes ago was purchased by MTCD_HW. So this guy looks like he's a real person. He does have a domain connected, which is maxthecryptodog.eth. He does have a bunch of them here. And this looks like a real person, believe it or not. But if you go through some of these high ticket ones, such as, let's look at this one. This happened 4 days ago. This is a perfect example of a anonymous account here. It has a wallet address, unnamed. There's no profile photo or anything. So again, this is probably one of Azuki's staff or whatever purchasing the NFT and inflating the price. And this happened a few days ago. So there's a few random NFTs here that are unrelated, just to probably make it look like it's a legit account. So, anyways, this is what's going on every day. There's very few projects in the NFT space that I'm guessing will ever pan out. And there's going to be a lot of these rug pulls that are going on. Pretty much everything has been a giant rug pull inside of the NFT space. But, however, there are good uses, utility uses that are unrelated to fundraising for art and stuff like that. And one of those things that I'm bullish on is stuff like media, press releases, and stuff like that. You can cite other stuff on the press release and connect to the blockchain forever. It's actually a really good feature. I've done this with some of the stuff that's been released so far. I plan on releasing more press releases and stuff like that too. So let's see what else is going on in the news. So Azuki, rug puller, he's made a lot of money off of pulling rugs basically, and artificially inflating these prices. This did happen on the iOS, or is still happening today on the iOS App Store with clickbait farms and stuff like that. So let's see what else is going on. I'm going to check out the revolver.news website. California goes full Jonestown case against. There goes the housing market. So this is revolver.news. Okay, this is off of Zero Hedge. Again, personally, in my humble opinion, I'm pretty bearish on what's going to happen in the real estate market pretty soon here. It looks like Zero Hedge is claiming there's some house availability and sales. affordability and index of sales by percentage, and this is a 2022. So there's been a huge plunge here, basically, in the impact from the Fed rates that are going on right now. Demand is slowing in a lot of the houses. Like maybe 4 to 6 months ago, the housing market was really hot. You couldn't find a house to purchase. People were buying up houses up with very, very high prices, at least in the Sacramento area for sure. So these are some of the hot markets right here. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. I think a lot of California refugees, which is basically what I'm going to be at. I'm from California, and most likely will be moving more towards Texas very soon here within the next few months. The housing market has heated up a lot in Texas because a lot of, I call them California refugees, that are trying to escape the I want to say anti-business policies here. So these are some of the key cities. Sacramento builder. Yeah, Sacramento here seeing trouble qualifying for entry-level builders as they are priced out by rates. So yeah, they're having trouble. We're having trouble now. They're just starting in 2007. In my neighborhood, just about every sign went up before the real estate bubble for sale, basically. A lot of short sales were going on. People knew they were under the water in their house and would never be able to pay off those flexible rate mortgages. So this is happening again? Probably. So let's just go on to a different story here. Former Mr. Universe fighting for his life after jumping through window. This guy fell out of a window and broke his spine, I guess. He lives in Australia. Not really sure why he jumped out of the window. Second story. Hopefully he's okay. Let's just go on to the next story here. Let's see here. FBI slap counterterrorism threat tag on parents protesting school boards. So apparently if you're protesting in school board, you are now part of the FBI counterterrorism threat tag. Here's a hot topic here. American military news. China surrounds Taiwan for massive invasion rehearsal drills. So we've seen this before when the special military operation that Putin started was a training exercise. He said to the last second that Russia will not invade Ukraine, and here we go. Whose tactics are these? China is now doing a invasion rehearsal drill. So I think Taiwan is heavily at risk. The time I spent in China, every mainland Chinese person believes that Taiwan is part of China. However, Taiwan people believe that they are not part of China and they are their own sovereign country. So just like Hong Kong is now part of China. Hong Kong is not Hong Kong anymore. It's just part of China. So I guess they did it all island. They just circled the island, circled their boats for doing a simulation drill. So they've been doing all sorts of flyovers to probably test and detect Taiwan's response basically to these things. And remember, Taiwan is a very, very important country internationally because of the amount of semiconductors that are made there. If China somehow does take Taiwan, I really believe that most of the world will be back in the 1950s or 60s as far as semiconductors. I don't think American domestic semiconductor forging and manufacturing is out to compete. There's not enough that we can't create enough semiconductors, and we don't have enough processor forges to compete with what Taiwan is creating internationally, basically. I think they have 80% of the market share. And again, if you have a pre-70s or 60s or 50s car, it's probably going to go up in value if China takes Taiwan. So all these circuit boards that are made there for your cars or other electronics, China will take them, and they'll probably wreck the economy in Taiwan, just like they wrecked the economy in Hong Kong after they took it over. So my heart goes out to the Taiwan people. I've spent time there, and I wish them the best. And I hope China does not invade, but I suspect they will. So. Just going through some of the news here. "2,000 Mules," the movie about election fraud is being released. It's been released. It has a very successful release. Looks like it raised over 1 million on Rumble. I'm actually going to watch this. I may live stream it with you, or watch it, live stream it via my channel with a commentary, kind of like Mystery Science Theater or whatever. So I still haven't seen it yet. 2,000 Mules, election fraud. It looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting and enlightening documentary, basically. So. Looks like the crypto exchange Coinbase is having trouble. I'm going to move this article over here a little bit so you can see it better. So this is the problem I have with exchanges. They are counterintuitive to what the decentralization nature of crypto is. It's supposed to be a decentralized architecture, and whenever you rely on a centralized exchange, you're basically defeating the purpose of the decentralized crypto, basically. But I mean, how are you going to convert your U.S. dollars or your fiat money into crypto? You basically are forced to go through an exchange, and that exchange has to handle Bitcoin or whatever crypto or exchange from there. So I think these are huge security vulnerabilities. Every single major crypto theft that has happened has basically been revolving around an exchange, basically. So these are happening all the time. They'll never go away. There's 0 days in the fabric of the copper in all our CPUs today. It's called Spectre and Meltdown. Look it up. It's basically a keylogger, and once you breach that copper, or once you it's like a keylogger. Once you have what those CPUs are basically speaking to the operating system, it's like a keylogger. And what a keylogger is it keeps track of everything that's typed in the computer, and it's in the fabric of the hardware. And what that means is you cannot change the wiring or the processor. You can't go to Intel and AMD and say, hey, can you give me a refund for my processor because I want a processor without Spectre and Meltdown vulnerability keyloggers or whatever. So going back to that, there are 0 days everywhere. And between ARM, AMD, and Intel, this covers a good maybe 85-90% of the market for these of these processors. So what that means is a good 70, 80, 90%, probably 90% of all these processors that are out there now have Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities. And what that means is anybody who types something on that computer, it can be extracted from somebody else remotely, basically. So, and it's not fixed. You go to Microsoft, they can't fix it. You can't fix it because the problem is on the fabric of the actual operating system, or the fabric of the copper, and you can't change that. Most computers don't have field programmable gateways, which is a logic you can change on the hardware. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to go away anytime soon. All the x86 architecture CPUs that are out there, AMD, Intel, and again, some ARM processors, they'll probably be in service for maybe another 15, 25, even 30 years at least. So if you're running any systems with these, well, most likely you are vulnerable on all levels of your operating system, from getting your passwords compromised to any other security or privacy issues you may have on your system. So just that attack vector could definitely compromise everything. And that's not even including what's going to happen with the quantum computing that's going to come out soon. But anyways, going back to Coinbase, they're warning of a bankruptcy. So it looks like it has 256 billion in both fiat and cryptocurrency. So I suspect the rate between the M3 money supply and the Bitcoin prices has been completely bound. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm going to show this chart in a second here. But it's an inflationary, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are an inflationary asset, basically. They're nothing like gold or silver, basically. So gold and silver are inflation proof. And actually, you know what? I'm going to load that chart up now. So look at this. This is a perfect 1-to-1 correlation. I'm going to move my video down. I'll move it a little bit to the left here, a little smaller. This is a perfectly 1-to-1 correlation. This is the M3 money supply. This is all money from 2021 to from 2022 all the way back to July 23. So this is when Bitcoin was released. Look at that. When the M3 money supply goes up, Bitcoin goes up. When the M3 money supply goes down, Bitcoin goes down. So there's a direct correlation here as far as Bitcoin price and inflation. So, or at least money supply, I want to say. So, I mean, and look at this. So if we pull out the Bitcoin and we start looking at, for example, gold. Now you can see the difference here. This is a perfect separation as far as the this is a perfect chart to see what the real inflation rates go, what inflation is happening here. And again, we go back to the M3 money supply, which is down here in the red. There is still some correlation, but again, gold increases over time. That's right. The central bank increases. They're printing of fiat money, inflation happens, and gold increases, basically. There is a correlation, some spikes and troughs, but if you look at the distance here, it's not all relative like the M3 money chart is between Bitcoin and the M3 money supply. So this is a complete 1-to-1 direct correlation. So what you're doing when you're buying Bitcoin is you're just buying into the M3 money supply. It's completely relative to it, so. Again, the technology behind blockchain's cool, but as an asset, I do not think it's an asset. So, all right, so let's go on here. Let's see what else is going on. I'm gonna travel and go to some other websites here. Let's go take a peek at Infowars.com. Ian Schroyer and Alex Jones were gonna show up on my show tonight, but what happened was. I think they're a little busy just relaxing off after work. So hopefully they'll join me in the future. Let's go to Infowars.com. So, all right, Rand Paul. Whoops, a little pop up here. Help defeat the. Okay, a little pop up. Oops. Rand Paul blocks $40 billion to Ukraine, citing inflation at home. My heart goes out to the Ukrainian people, but I don't think it's our responsibility. And I talked about this on my previous show here. I don't think it's our responsibility to protect Ukraine as much as we have been. I think what we're doing is we're creating a very, very high risk for World War III. Again, Putin has nuclear capabilities, and I really believe Putin has the capabilities to actually use them. I don't think he's too scared to use them. I think Putin is full on capable of using nukes, and I think it could escalate to this, basically. So, God bless Rand Paul, and especially his father for talking, and getting all this information about the Fed and stuff like that. And I'm glad he is speaking out about it and stopping it. We I think, like somebody said, we are not receiving enough baby formula here for children in America, but we're sending $40 billion to Ukraine, and how much of it's going to actually make it there, we don't know. So, going to go to breaking news on Infowars.com. Looks like Sputnik News released published an Elon Musk quote. Musk wants less divisive candidate than Trump in 2024, slams Biden's bid to transform U.S. I'm more concerned about the near term. I think the midterm elections, there's a lot of pressure. I think a lot of people, or a lot of the enemies and adversaries of the United States, do not want Trump as president. I supported Trump myself. I like Trump. I voted for him, and I've been behind his presidency. We needed a tough person to handle the status of the United States. I thought he did a great job. Russian collusion was a hoax. The previous administration was spying on his network at the White House, and this has been released. And also, who knows? Maybe we'll have more candidates. Maybe the Democrats will choose a good candidate. So. If we could only have two really good, high-quality candidates, basically, that would be the best. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, so. What else is in the news at Infowars? Suicide threats spike on Reddit after crypto crash. Wow, I guess there was a crypto crash. Somebody had 90% of his net worth wiped out. Again, his history lessons not learned. For those of you who have large sums of crypto, I I think the best thing you could possibly do is at least take a majority chunk of it. If you have a big chunk, my threshold, I would be guessing is around 5 to 25, maybe 5 to 25,000 or more. Basically, I don't think it should be in a crypto wallet, again, because of the security vulnerabilities I mentioned, specifically Spectre and Meltdown. You shouldn't have any significant chunk of a crypto just sitting on your computer or in an exchange. I think it has to be in an FDI. I think it has to be in the dollar still in an FDIC insured banking account. Again, this market plunged on this guy. He lost his money, and not only that, but there's going to be another crypto hack and theft coming around the corner. Who's going to be a part of that? Is there any insurance on that crypto? No, there isn't. There's going to be no insurance on it. If somebody steals my bank account, I have an FDI insurance, and the bank will reimburse me. This is not happening with crypto. There's no insurance on it. You can't get insured, and it is volatile, and it's going to get stolen. So again, I'm super cautious about crypto. It's not my choice asset, and for the most part, I don't think this is going to go away. Basically, so. Again, more people lost their shirts. Talking about suicide because they lost their crypto. Nobody remembers Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox, the cryptocurrency was for Bitcoin is around $22, $25 in 2013, which is when the Mt. Gox exchange collapsed, basically from theft from a centralized exchange. China's most handsome man to sue online critics who say he's nothing more than an attractive face. So, going back to Chinese politics, or Chinese communist politics, I think, in my humble opinion, for dealing with them, I think this is a perfect example of how to deal with the Chinese communists. You appeal to their greed, you appeal to their ego, and I guarantee you most of these Chinese Communist parties Chinese Communist Party leaders will be seduced by money, number one. Their ultimate greed will be their demise. And they will, and they can be turned on each other just by financial measures, basically. So, again, why did Lucifer get kicked out of heaven, basically? He wanted to be higher than God. He wanted to have a big ego. He said he was the best looking one or whatever. All ego, basically. And this is the Chinese communist culture right now. As far as corruption, it's really, really easy to have a Chinese Communist Party informant with just cash. That's all it takes. How much information can you get from the Chinese communists? It's just how much money they will talk for, basically. So I've spent lots of time there. I know the culture very, very well. I studied Chinese martial arts there. They will sell their Chinese Communist Party out faster than anything. It's really, really nauseating. But then again, their cognitive dissonance probably doesn't want them actually being communist to begin with. So, again, here's a story here on Yahoo News that is a good example of why and how to get Chinese Communist Party leaders to flip and give critical, sensitive information to outsiders. It's money. It just comes down to money and some American-made Marlboro cigarettes. Marlboro cigarettes are your tip in China. You don't have to, you're not allowed to give tips for a taxi or whatnot. Instead, you give specifically American-made Marlboro cigarettes, and they love American-made Marlboro cigarettes. So Marlboro cigarettes are like the blue jeans in Russia of the 1980s, basically. And Russia, the original USSR, loved American blue jeans. They were a hot commodity there. And American-made Marlboro cigarettes are a hot commodity in China, basically. So anyways, this is a perfect example of how, if anybody's working in the intelligence community, it just takes money, and it won't take very much money to get sensitive information. I guarantee you, you can get Chinese nuclear secrets with enough cash or gold or ego or whatever. So that's the way I'd approach them. So anyways, I'm going to conclude this podcast for now. I'll come on again and watch the news maybe another 6 to 8 hours. I'll try to get in touch with Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones today. They'll probably be broadcasting it later on today. So hopefully, if you guys are out there, I'll see you guys there online. And thank you for watching.
Hey.
This is the Mr. Robots podcast, and I am your host, Steve Favis. Please sign up on our web forum at FAR-CORP.com. I'll show you. Just sign your, put your email in there. FAR-CORP.com. And a pop-up will happen. Please enter your email in there if you're enjoying this podcast and this information and this news updates. We'll talk more about technology and other stuff that's going on too. Fill it in right here on this website. So here's the website. Subscribe to this newsletter. Get on our newsletter. Please subscribe. What would really help us here is we start building up our media, basically. So thanks a lot. Take care. And it was nice sharing the news with you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Waking up to everything. Go Brandon, but we all know what the saying mean.